Welcome to the Goat Gazette, the officially unofficial YouTube channel of the Hartford Yard Goats. I am your host, Midnight Mike, and I hope you enjoy this show because it is my basically love letter to the Hartford Yard Goats for entertaining me. And this year, more than any other year, I have been able to follow the team because I finally got MILB TV. Didn't actually even know it existed until this year. I've always thought that it's hard to follow a team if you don't have the ability to follow all of their games, which is why I have a problem following the New York Yankees. Living here in Connecticut, they're blacked out no matter what MLB TV you get. And they got pulled off of, I forget what I used to get them on, maybe YouTube TV. Yes, got pulled off of there. So it's hard to follow the team. I do pay for the subscription for MLB so I can get the audio, but I'd rather watch the game. That's another reason why when I lived in New Jersey, I am from New Jersey. I always had a hard time following the New Jersey Devils because the channel that they were on was only available to certain cable providers. Well, this season, I've been able to watch pretty much every Hartford Yard Goats game. I've been going to games since I moved to Connecticut. In 2018, I've been going to games every year. I bring my wife, I bring my daughter. My youngest daughter's going to be able to start going hopefully next season. And I am excited to bring this Goat Gazette to you with highlights and updates on standings and all of that. I'm going to have a few segments throughout the show. I'm going to try to do it as quick as possible. So why don't we just get started with that? The first segment that we're going to do is a standings update. So let's do that.
The Hartford Yard Goats, we're number one.
All right. Now, as you know, the AA baseball Eastern League, well, all of AA baseball runs on a split season, meaning the first half of the season, whoever has the best record gets into the playoffs. Second half of the season, whoever has the best record gets into the playoffs. They play each other in a 3-game series. Then they play that's how it works. I'll talk about this in my final segment. It's called On a Side Note, about the first half of the season and how heartbreaking it was to lose out to the Somerset Patriots. The Goats were this close, but let's check those standings right now. First, let's just check the overall standings and see how we look. Hartford, obviously at the top at 55-33. We've won 6 games in a row. And once again, in a side note, I will talk about the first half of this second half of the season and how I think we've picked it up in the last few games. Obviously, in the past 6 games, we've picked it up. And 7-3 in the past 10. Right behind us, the Somerset Patriots, behind by 1 game at 54-34. The Portland Sea Dogs riding it even at 44-44. And then you have the Reading Fighting Phils, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Who cares what their records are? They are really low on that totem pole. Now, as I said, what really matters is the second half standings now. And I think that the Goats are finally pulling it back. There was, like I said, a devastating loss to the Somerset Patriots in the last game of the first half of the season. It was the Goats to lose, and they did. So let's check those second half standings. This is what really matters about making those playoffs. The Goats are in second, right behind the Portland Sea Dogs, who had a very easy opening schedule, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, but they're standing at 14-5, 7-3 in the past 10 games. Hartford right behind them, only 2 games behind them at 12-7, winning 6, like I said, winning 6 in a row. The Fighting Phils at 11-8. And Somerset, man, you guys are having a worst second half. I guess, I mean, if you've already made the playoffs, as that asterisk next to the Somerset Patriots tells you, you can coast the second half of the season. And that's why I don't like this split schedule. I don't like the fact that the Somerset Patriots can literally just sit back and do nothing the second half of the year, and they know they're going to the playoffs. That really bothers me. So anyway, second place tonight, the night of this recording, they were supposed to have their second game of the series against the Rumble Ponies, but that game was postponed. So luckily I was able to make this video. So I think they still have 4 games left in the series with the Rumble Ponies up in Binghamton. That's the hardest one for me to say, because I always want to say like Birmingham or something like that, but it's Binghamton. Rumble Ponies. I've seen the Yard Goats play the Rumble Ponies more than any other team, in the Eastern League. For some reason, every time I go and get a ticket, it ends up being the Rumble Ponies. But let's move on to another segment in the show that I want to talk about. I mean, this one is exciting. This one is going to be now, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do this weekly or bi-weekly or how many episodes are going to come out a month. So instead of calling it the highlight of the week, I'm just going to call it the highlight of the show. And let's check out the highlight of the show for this one. This one comes courtesy of Kyle Datres out in center field. You got to check this one out. This was during the Whalers tribute weekend. And as you'll see, the Yard Goats are wearing their Hartford Whalers inspired shirts, which, by the way, I love. I love the way they look. But while looking at them, I realized that the little ties that they have here, as hockey jerseys have, the little like shoelace ties, are printed on. And that made me not, I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy that now. I know the whole jersey isn't like these where it's sewn in. I know it's screen printed, but at least get the ties and don't, like, that just looks kind of cheap. You know, you throw in the little loops and throw in the ties and you'll have me purchasing it. But anyway, let's check it out. Kyle Datres. I believe this play actually made SportsCenter's top 10. Out of all baseball and NBA is not playing, but you know what I'm saying, of all sports, of all MLB, of all minor leagues, this play made it, and it deserves to. Let's check out.
Pitch is swung out. That's lined towards left. Datres on the go. He dives, and he makes the catch. Wow, what a grab and left by Kyle Datres. Laid out for it, takes extra bases away from Jackson Clough.
Amazing. Jackson Clough is going to call for an investigation. As you watched him walk off the field following that one, he has been robbed of 4 hits tonight.
Yes,
I mean, 4 hits.
I mean, and I believe one of them was our player of the show. Michael Toglia robbed him of, I believe, a home run. I'm not positive, but we got to check that out. But wow, what a catch. I mean, let's be real here. That was, if you didn't see that, I'm glad you got to see it here, because that deserves to be shown over and over again. And Kyle Datres, put that one in your highlight reel. Put that one in. What do the actors call it when they have the you know, you could get the tape and it's your, I'm never going to remember that. I'm not going to remember it. It was on the tip of my tongue, but it's like a highlight reel for actors. But Kyle Datres, you need to thank me for giving you that highlight. But anyway, now we're going to go to our player of the show. That was our highlight of the show. Our player of the show, obviously, he is on a tear right now. Michael Toglia, our first baseman, in the last 3 games, 3 home runs, going from the Harrisburg series into the Rumble Pony series. And one of them against Harrisburg in Dunkin' Donuts Park was a grand slam to take the lead. Let's just take a quick look at Michael Toglia's numbers. As you can see, he has 19 home runs on the season. Wow, what is that? 56 RBIs or 58? My eyes are not working right now. 6 stolen bases, and he is hitting 218. But when you're hitting that many home runs, you can afford to hit 219. Now, would we like that number to be a little higher? Absolutely. But you know, if you're putting out 19 home runs and you've hit 3 in the last 3 games, I'm okay with that. So keep parking those, Mike, and I'll be happy. And yes, of course, I do have that highlight. Let's check out Michael Toglia in the Harrisburg Senators game. This is his grand slam to take the lead. I believe it was tied 3-3 at the time, but let's check this out.
Hartford 3, Harrisburg 3 as we play here in the 7th inning. 1 out. Goats have the bases loaded. They've scored twice. Danny DePecco set. Here's the 3-2 pitch. It swung out, and a high drive hit deep towards right field. Hubbard heading back towards the track, back towards the wall, and it's gone! Michael Toglia has given the Yard Goats the lead with a grand slam home run. He ripped it way down the right field line, up and over to the fence, and out into the Hartford skyline. Yard Goats with another grand slam home run on this homestand. The Goats' 6th grand slam home run this season, and Hartford has a 7-3 lead.
Amazing. That ball hugging the right field line the whole way, as Michael Toglia, as high as that foul pole, lowers the boom with a grand slam.
And that's just outstanding to watch. I am going to be setting up an email so you guys can get in touch with me. But of course, if you want to get in touch with me on Twitter, I'm at Midnight Mike Show. That's spelled MIDNITE Mike Show. And by the next episode, hopefully I will have an email address. I want your guys' comments. I want your suggestions. If you could think of something else for the show, please let me know. But obviously, I will end each show with something that I like to call On a Side Note. Let's check that out. And it's not doing it. Look at that. All right. On a side note, I was talked about a little bit about this throughout the show here. And I do think that devastating loss, the Goats right at the end there in the last week of the first half of the season actually took the lead. They were chasing the Somerset Patriots for much of the ending of that first half. And then finally took I believe I think at one point they got to a 1.5 or 2 game lead over the Patriots. And then in that last series with the Patriots in Somerset, they came back and it came down to that last game. And it was devastating to see the Yard Goats blow that one. And I do think that affected the start of the second half of their season. They started off really slow. I mean, I believe they had a losing record at one point. They were kind of hanging around 500. But now they are starting to pick that back up, which I am really excited about. So, guys, if anybody on the Yard Goats is seeing this, please keep going with that. Keep up that intensity. Keep those bats going because you guys have really picked it up over the last 6 games, 6 in a row. Now, obviously, if you lose a game here or there, I don't mind. But I during the first half of the year, you could almost bank that you guys were going to win pretty much every series you were in. You were winning series after series after series, and I just thought I just loved watching Yard Goats baseball, and I still do. And actually, you know what? One more on a side note, I've never sat on the home third base side of Dunkin' Donuts Park. Isn't that weird? I'm always on the first base side, but the next game I'm going to, I unfortunately I can't get to another game until August. But I finally was like, you know what? Once again, every time I went to go get tickets, I wasn't looking at teams and whatever. I was just trying to get a good seat and just picking them up. But then after you've gone to so many games and you go, wait a minute, I saw him play the Rumble Pony. I saw him play the Rumble Ponies. I saw him play the Rumble Pony. And you see so many of the Rumble Ponies games. And then you look and you go, wait, I'm also either behind home plate or I'm always on the first base side. But if you go over to the third base side, it's such a beautiful view because you get the skyline of Hartford in the background. And I can't wait. I can't wait to go to the next game and check that out. It's going to be a fun game. I believe I'm going to the Fisher Cat series. I believe that's what series I'm going to. It's actually those tickets were a Father's Day gift to my father-in-law from my wife and myself. So we're bringing him. I said, hey, do you want to go during the week when it's a little tamer? Or do you want to go during the weekend and he said, no, I want the energy. I want as much energy as possible. So if you want to, I believe it's a Friday game against the Fisher Cats at Dunkin' Donuts Park. Please fill that place up for my father-in-law and make a lot of noise. We want to have a good time with that. Also, on another show, my daughter Alice did the baby goat race, which always takes place after the fourth inning, I believe. And I'll show you a highlight of that one of these shows also. Yeah, like I said, I have a lot. I also one day would like to tell you guys about how I became a Yard Goats fan living in Philadelphia. And it has to do with my wife. But yeah, once again, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Please get in touch with me on Twitter at Midnight Mike Show, spell MIDNITE Mike Show. And the last thing I'm going to do is say cheers with my Goat Age Shandy. Cheers. Delicious. Has a nice, it's very refreshing on a warm day. Has a nice citrusy flavor to it. Really enjoy it. You could pick that up at Dunkin' Donuts Park, and I believe it's behind right. If you were to go up the stairs between home plate and first base, it's like right there that I know you can get it. So check that out. But that's all. This was the Goat Gazette. I am Midnight Mike. I'll see you next time.